Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Man City have won away from home in the Champions League knockout stages against Real Madrid. A massive game with so many stars on show, but a lot of those stars on the bench. Guardiola versus Zidane. Guardiola came out on top and they look very, very strong for the second leg. I'm going to break down this game in about 10 minutes. Let's kick off with the top line of it, which was that Guardiola just about got it right. If you watched the game, you would have seen there was a lot of commentary talking about how brilliant Man City were. And they were very, very good. But it wasn't as simple as that. And I actually think the commentary was a little bit overboard in terms of giving Man City so much praise. But they did deserve some praise. Going into the game, you thought that Man City would do something a little bit weird because it's Guardiola, because it's the knockout stages. There is this idea that he sometimes overthinks these games, especially these big ones. It couldn't get any bigger than the situation that Man City find themselves in now, possibly being banned from the Champions League for the next 2 years. And if that happens, this is their last chance to do it. So going away from home, Guardiola wanted to make sure he got back to the Etihad with something. I thought that was a touch negative initially, but actually in terms of game management, this is something that they did against Spurs last year and it backfired a little bit. He was a little bit conservative. Spurs got the first goal and were able, well, in the end, they had to go gung-ho in the second leg. Obviously, we all remember how that game went down, but it didn't work out for Man City. But Guardiola went with something pretty brave here. No Fernandinho, Laporte played, Otamendi started as well. Silva and De Bruyne played in basically the front two. You had Gabriel Jesus over on the left. This was mad tactics from Guardiola. And the reason I think he did this was to unsettle Real Madrid. Real Madrid's defence has been probably the best part of their game this season. It is a cracking back four that they've got in Mendy, Ramos, Varane and Carvajal. And then Casemiro, who's probably in the form of his life. So I think that they wanted to kind of play a game where Real Madrid struggled to control it. So what they did was they played De Bruyne and Silva up top. You knew you were going to get a lot of hard work from them. And he played Gabriel Jesus on the left. And in terms of keeping the ball, it worked quite well because they were in those half spaces all of the time. If you look at their heat maps after the first half of the game, you saw it was a really effective way of playing football. De Bruyne, Mahrez, Silva and Jesus picking up the ball in all sorts of different positions. In particular, De Bruyne, who I thought was absolutely fantastic in the game. And it was a quiet, cagey first half, but I really enjoyed watching it. But I got to half time thinking, the important thing is the scoreline here. This is similar to the Spurs game where, yeah, they're dominating, yeah, they're comfortable, but you're almost underselling how good this Man City team is. And not having Aguero on the pitch, not having Sterling on the pitch, and ultimately not having Jesus as a centre forward was a touch negative. But I thought what they were trying to do with Jesus on the left was have the pace out there to kind of deal with Carvajal. I thought he was really, really disciplined in what he did. But on the counter-attack, that's where the space was. Ramos and Varane, I think Guardiola didn't think that Jesus was going to be able to do much against those two. But if you were able to get De Bruyne the ball in that awkward position between Casemiro and those two centre-backs, the pass after that might be the one to Jesus. And it happened a couple of times. After about 20 minutes, the first chance really of the game went to Jesus. He didn't take it. Caught up with an okay save. The big moment for Man City, and it could have been the big turning point in the entire game, was Laporte getting subbed. Because Real Madrid was struggling with this new structure that Man City had decided to put together. No one thought they were going to play De Bruyne and Silva up top. And that substitution, and then Gundogan went down 2 minutes later, it allowed Zidane to kind of have a word with his team, get them sort of sorted out. There's a lot of shots of him holding his mouth like they all do now these days, talking to his team and trying to get them to understand what Guardiola had done and how to combat it. The bigger problem for Man City was the fact that Laporte had to go off. That's a massive blow, and it's probably the one player maybe aside from De Bruyne. But even with De Bruyne, you've got so many attacking assets that Man City could bring on. But Laporte has been such a killer for Man City this season in terms of his absence. So to lose him in that game, that was a big moment. Anyway, he got to half-time, and Man City had done really well. They'd got the tactics right. But it all came down to the final score, and it looked like they'd got it wrong. The commentary, they all turned on them as soon as Real Madrid scored their goal, and it's the same weakness that you've seen from Man City the whole season. It's like, I don't want to go Goldbridge on you because he's the guy with the analogies, but I was thinking about it, and it's like, you could have the most beautiful teeth, and hopefully you want to have the best smile ever because you've got the most beautiful teeth. But if your front two teeth aren't there, or they're wobbly, or they're just crap, you're never going to have a good smile. And that is the thing that Guardiola and Man City are battling against. Despite being a team that just creates chances constantly for fun, despite being a team that controls games a lot of the time, there are these moments where they still keep making these silly mistakes. And in games against Real Madrid, who were poor, if I'm honest, I think Isco barely touched the ball that much during the game. Benzema barely touched the ball. I'll get to that when we talk about the key stat from the game, in my opinion. Vinicius was probably the best outlet, but even with that, Kyle Walker was doing a decent job against him. With Otamendi and Rodri getting mixed up, Isco gets a chance, and it was almost like Real Madrid were playing away from home. They were allowed the ball. Man City gave them the ball in their own half, but they didn't do anything with it. They had one chance from Benzema in the first half, and then when it got to the second half, Man City came out the blocks a lot better. It started to open up a little bit. Mahrez had a couple of chances, but then there was that sucker punch from Real Madrid, and you thought that they are going to actually, even in a home game, which you don't normally say with Real Madrid, it was going to be a smash and grab for them. Man City kept going, kept playing, took about 2 minutes just to retain possession again and then start again, get themselves moving, and they brought Sterling on. They had that firepower, didn't need Aguero at the end. I was looking to see Sterling come on because I thought if you play in that formation, actually he could do the same job as Silva did in the first half, but they put him out on the left, and it allowed De Bruyne to continue to have that space through the middle. I thought he was superb in the game. I'm going to go to my man of the match now. It was Kevin De Bruyne. Not just because of the unbelievable little cross for Jesus for the first goal, obviously finally scoring a penalty for the second goal, but that was a really smart move from Guardiola. He was allowed to kind of conserve his energy a little bit, which is not a big problem with De Bruyne. But when he got the ball, he was able to drive with the ball. He was able to take the whole team up. You could play on the counter-attack at times, and it allowed him to be further up the pitch to play the final pass, because I think they didn't believe that they were going to be able to control the game as much. And I think you could see Guardiola, maybe in Champions League games, doing this more and more, having De Bruyne almost like a second striker, because he was always that outlet. He was always that player who could get the ball, turn, drive, but also come in and create overloads in midfield as well. But the cross was unbelievable, and then he was driving the team forward to get the winner, and it got to the penalty. The penalty, it was a penalty. The only reason it was a penalty is because Carvajal's made the decision for the referee. Sterling possibly is on his way down. If Carvajal doesn't dive in, I don't think Sterling goes down, if you know what I mean. I know that sounds obvious. But if Carvajal continues to run with him, that's the kind of way football is now. All these guys are so super sensitive to the body language of other players, and they can see it coming. Sterling saw it coming. It was a penalty, and who knew? Kevin De Bruyne can take penalties. Kevin De Bruyne is probably the best striker of the football we've seen since Gerrard or David Beckham or Pirlo. Of course he should be taking penalties, and finally he did, and he scored a goal, and that might be it now. Could be Kevin De Bruyne from now on. So from an FPL point of view, that could be really good for Premier League fans. But then it goes to the sending off, the 26th time Sergio Ramos gets sent off, and it goes back to my earlier point about Sterling. Did he pull him back a lot? No. Was Jesus looking for it? Yes. But he did make contact, and once that's done, him going down, it's cute. It's not, it's not the nicest thing in terms of the spirit of the game, but it's a smart thing for him to do. Ref bottles it in terms of him being in the box or not. I'm not totally sure where it was. It probably was just outside. But 26 times for Ramos to get sent off, that is crazy. And that is the icing on the cake for Man City. 2 away goals. They go back to the Etihad. And really, I think it would have been seen as negative if Real Madrid had been able to win. But I don't think Man City would have been worried about not getting the victory at home. I think they went head-to-head. He looked to contain them. There's a bit of game management. I thought that was smart. But they've got nothing to fear against Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid, they missed Bale, and by that I mean maybe a bit of pace to kind of allow them to counter-attack properly, because it was pretty negative from Real Madrid. And I'll get to the key stat now. Benzema had 31 touches in this game. De Bruyne, who is supposedly the striker for Man City, had 68 touches in this game. That's the big stat for me. Another one, when you look at the two teams, it's got to be the big chances, which highlights that Man City did deserve to win the game. It did come down to a couple of big moments. The commentators were talking about Fernandinho and a couple of blocks, and they are crucial moments, because if it gets to 2-0, then you are a little bit worried. But I think even with a 2-0 defeat, Man City would have gone into that home game thinking, we could really scare this team. Real Madrid they just looked a bit stodgy for me, if that makes sense. And when you get to the big chances of this game, Man City had 5, missed 3 of those big chances, still able to get 2 goals, obviously. And Real Madrid only had 2 big chances in the entire game. Finishing off with a few tweets from you, your reaction. I'll see what I think about them. I literally haven't seen them till this moment. So if you follow me on Twitter at James Allcott, then you'll be able to chat to me when I do this again. Let me know if this is something you want me to do next time. Nick Dunn, great result for City. Only bad thing is the Laporte injury. I think that's a massive point to make. I think when there's a team that really attacks those 2 centre midfielders and can go toe-to-toe with Man City a little bit more, I think that could play a massive problem, because Otamendi and Fernandinho are not. Fernandinho's fine as that second centre-back alongside someone else. Maybe even with Otamendi, the same thing, but you need Laporte. It's like any team. You need that Van Dijk guy who can drag the other one through. Sam Blom, City weren't that good. Just a moment of magic from De Bruyne and a big mistake from Carvajal. I think they knocked at the door enough, Man City, and I think overall, say this was a fight, I think Man City would have won it on points. It might have been a split decision. I hear what you're saying. I think they were going over the top a little bit in the first half of the game, because actually they could have gone a lot more gung-ho and it might not have gone against them. Racletlo, creative. The second leg is going to be very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not done and dusted by any means. I think they need to step it up, though, Real Madrid. I wasn't very impressed at all. And I think Guardiola had their number in terms of unsettling them, in terms of the half spaces and creating overloads around Casemiro and looking to get in behind Carvajal. Dip PG, talk a bit about the other game, as Leon deserved to win that. I didn't watch it. CJ Nova, hello bro. Reckon Rangers' result in Europe is worth a mention. Absolutely. Good to see Rangers doing well. That's a great result against Braga. And De Bruyne, a different class from Toro LFC. Surprised a Pep team had the balls to grind out a win like they did. Not sure if smash and grab masterclass by City or complete capitulation by Madrid. Can still see Madrid scoring a few away, so should be a fun second leg. You can, just because of the quality of the finishes that they've got in the side, but I don't see it, I'll be honest. I think Man City were almost a touch negative, and they were concerned. Guardiola was concerned about Real Madrid, which is fine, but I don't think there needs to be that same concern in the second leg. I guess the only thing you could say to counteract that would be the fact that unsettling Real Madrid is what worked, and it made them cagey and careful in the way that they attacked. And so you might want to look to do that again. So there you have it. Man City win 2-1 away from home against Real Madrid. One of the best Champions League victories in their entire history. You've got to say it. And they need it. They desperately want to win this competition. And there's a storyline starting there that could really work out for Man City. Do you think Man City will be fine in the next leg? What will be your prediction? Who was your man of the match? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the James Lawrence Allcott channel if you're new. And I'll see you next time.